Hello, everyone, and it's Wednesday, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday with myself, Jen Snow, and Maureen Robinson. We are here live on YouTube. Oh, yeah, it's Wednesday, and it's a full moon, so I don't know about you guys, but we got lots to talk about. Mo, how are ya? How's it going?
I'm great. I'm excited for this full moon too, because not only is this is a beautiful full moon we have for in December, especially after the year we've had. Lots of people are moving through things and clearing stuff up, and lots of old traumas and junk is just all coming up, and clearing, processing, and forgiving, and letting it go, and all these things have been happening. But this particular one, the moon is in Gemini, and
I know.
Gemini is
Split
my moon,
personalities.
right? Split personalities.
So
that's my moon, actually. I'm a Pisces as a sun, but my moon is Gemini, and my rising though is Leo. So that's why I'm happy to be on here, put on a show, because Leos like to put on a show, have a little bit of fun. But Gemini, that's the actress. Oh, I can pretend to be this, pretend to be that. I can. So and then the Pisces is that creativity. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, you know what? Like this Gemini full moon.
I
don't know about you guys, but the last 2 nights I have been like buzzing, like not sleeping. I totally binged watched something last night because I finally gave up on the whole sleep thing, because I'm like, it's not going to happen. So this morning I sit down and I'm looking at the full moon calendar. I'm like, Mo said it was a full moon. Mo sent out the message. And yeah, I'm like, oh, that is why. So if you guys haven't been sleeping, I am with you.
I've been actually sleeping well, but vivid dreams, big time. The most amazing dreams, like that confusing what's happening. And it's funny because I won't be in a real deep sleep state. I'll be in this kind of semi ready to be awake state. So I'm awake enough that I can process the dream and going, well, that was weird. What happened there? And trying to process whatever it was. And it was, yeah, and yet they were very cool dreams. And again, they were evolved around issues that I've been working through with either family members or whoever it is. And it was super. It really put me in a peaceful, happy state. But that's not the same for everyone. I think with a full moon, you have to remember, it's like taking a magnifying glass to all your stuff. So if you're focused and all, or have a lot of really negative things you're dealing with, then it can kind of amplify a little bit. So, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose to make sure you're in a more peaceful state, that you're open to receive information, and that you're open to move through in a very loving way. And I want and to meditate and really get in the happy state a lot. Then you ride the full moon. Then you ride it, and it's like, woo, it's awesome. So if anybody who's out there is feeling sort of that deep darkness of it, I encourage you to really try to pamper yourself, try to get in really loving, happy states. And if there's a message for you, just be open for the message. And always be open for loving messages that will help you really set those tones. But you can control that negativity, and it doesn't need to be that way. Just because all the babies are born around full moons and that the psych ward is full around full moons doesn't mean it has to be you. So,
well, I don't know about you guys, but I have been working on some stuff. I found a piece that, as we go through this, what we call the soul ascension, there's a piece, and it was self-imposed, everybody, from a past life where I actually self-imposed, gagged my gifts. And so this came up, and I had a conversation with somebody, and I've known this since 2016. And it's been one of those things that I'll get there. And yes, I've been procrastinating. So when everybody talks about procrastination, I hear you, I feel you, I can do it too. I understand. And so today was the day. This is like, the Gemini side of this moon is that we have to release the stuff so that we can open ourselves up to what we're ready to begin creating, what we're ready to begin attracting. And I don't know if any of you guys saw my TikTok, but it was really based around this journey that I went on where, we get into that pushing, chasing, a lack, scarcity space. And that was what that block was meant to create, so that my own inner gifts couldn't take off. And so I unwound this, and I got this overwhelming kind of peacefulness of forgiveness. Like, sometimes it's going in and forgiving the parts of you that created the chaos once upon a time, but not just energetically, but that physical part of you. If you believe in past lives or, alternate timelines, universal timelines, we all have these different versions of ourselves, and those versions of ourselves are, you know, all over the place sometimes. And
Yeah.
so going into that version where you feel connected to, and sitting with that version of yourself and bringing forward the healing that needs to be there, but also the physical forgiveness of those moments and those choices in that timeline that you made can really make a big difference on this release. And this is a great full moon for that, because once you let it go, you make so much space. You are holding so much space to attract and get into action, like, to create what it is you want to create. So that was kind of like the message I got around this full moon. It wasn't like negativity. It was actually an opportunity. So if you guys are holding on to something, you feel like something's there, this might be a great night to kind of get in and be like, okay, I see you, I feel you, I hear you.
Yeah.
Now let's go in and like heal you. And let's work through that on all levels. And this is an all level moon. I don't know about you guys, but I really, that hit strong. It couldn't just be something energetically or mentally or emotionally. I had to like really add in both. So that was my morning meditation today. Even though I didn't actually sleep, so morning felt like it was all night.
Yeah, I agree with all you know, all the things that are going on too. What you're saying here too. This last moon of the full moon of the year is really a nice culmination of how the year has gone. And it's funny how things have been improving in the world in ways, but it's also still, it's like we're holding on as we're over that bumpy road going to the last bit. But what you got to remember, what we're seeing ahead of us is this beautiful space that we're all getting to, and we are going to get to it. That's the good news. And but along the way, they really are encouraging us to release these old things from the past, because we don't need them where we're going. It's that simple. You don't need them. You're in, once we get into that more beautiful state, it's just an amazing place to be in. So I encourage you to keep clearing and cleansing yourself, and just letting things go and being open to them. One of the things you have to remember too, sometimes if you haven't done this before, where you know, ask for, okay, I'm open to moving forward. It's kind of like they go, all right, she's all ready. If I said this at the last one, sorry, but I repeat it. All right, she's ready to go. Throw at her the big stuff. And then you're like, oh, this stuff is coming at me. I don't think I can do it. But you can breathe, take a second. And a wise person said to me that
Who was that?
Who was that? Who said, you know, you can ask them to just send it to you what you're able to cope with. So you can get that, those lessons that come at you, you can get them to tone down just a little, so it's not too much for you, and that you can, you know, move through the space and smooth the road just a little as you're getting to where we want to be in this more happier state, which is a more forgiving state. It's a more peaceful state. It's all these things. And our health is much better in those kinds of states. And that's where we're heading to. Yeah, a great full moon to clear this up. And I'm starting, actually, yeah, I woke up this morning just really feeling relief from the last, maybe about 2 good, strong last 2 months have been, holy smokes, is this one going to buck me off? And I'm just, and I've made headway. I've really done some very good personal work. Whether it's really staying on top with my herbalism, doing things like really a lot of the breath work. When we talked about breath work last month, that's been really helping me through all this stuff. So I really encourage you to keep your breath work up. Learn meridians on your arms and legs and massage them. Qigong, doing the exercises of that. Yoga is still really good. Always returning yourself back to peaceful and normal. If it's not, Qigong is not your, if yoga is not your thing, work into more Qigong. And I will tell you that there is one of our other Reiki masters in our group. She will be starting teaching these combined energy classes that will have Qigong, breath work, yoga, all in it. And that's going to start in January. So her and I are just kind of going over some of the particulars on that. And once we get that going, Jen will put it all out to y'all. And I'll double check to see if she's going to run it live as well, so that all your peeps are going to take advantage of that.
You know, the other thing I do, and I don't know about you guys, but I tap sometimes. I usually
tapping's good.
So I don't know why, but I kind of go through these phases. And right now I'm in this phase of tapping and creating that mantra of permission to release what needs to be released, to tap into the deep cellular structures of it, and the timelines of it. And timelines keeps coming up for me. So Mo, what is something you do to work at discovering what you're holding on to that's in the way.
To work at what? I'm just to work at, or to find out what it is?
Yeah,
Or
like what do you do to work
out?
at discovering what it is that is standing in your way?
I ask the questions because it's always when life is crappy, when things come at you and going, okay, why is that? Why is my life crap? I know that there's a bigger picture at all times. And it's taking that moment, stepping back, getting out of the mix of it, trying to release from the emotional side of it, just, do a little cut from that and then stand back and going, oh, wait a minute. So it's almost like looking at myself if I'm speaking to one of my clients, when I'm doing a Reiki sessions, it's kind of, I stand back and do the same thing and look what's happening with me. And why is that coming down? And what do I need to learn? And I find too, the ones that were happening to me in this past few months were some health issues. I kept getting some blood pressure, and I'm thinking some high blood pressure, and that's not cool. We got to deal with that. You can't just keep ignoring it. You can't just take a pill. You can't just take or try one herbal thing. Or it's not about that. It's our world, our health is all of it. All the puzzle pieces need to be filled in. Are you doing, like I mentioned earlier, about breath work and qigong and balancing and really getting into some good meditation and eating super clean, super healthy stuff, and as well as some good herb supplements to really boost and tonify the blood vessels. So that's what I do when I try to stand back and take a good look. And if I still don't get it, then I call a friend, like, maybe Jen. So maybe Jen, or maybe another Reiki master in my group. Jen has some as well. She calls, we kind of all, whatever we feel the need is of where it's at, or whichever one answers to me quicker, to say, okay, SOS, I'm feeling a little off. And that's okay to feel off, where sometimes you just feel like, I don't know if I'm handling this as best I can. Jen and I, we work with people all the time. And it's always easier to see everybody else's problems than your own. That's just standard fare. But you still need to do your own homework. And if you find you're struggling with the vision, you can't quite see it because you've already slipped into a lower frequency. And when you're in that lower frequency, it is tricky to see what you need to see. I know you could. If I couldn't call anybody, I would figure it out. I know I would. But I kind of shortcut it and go, okay, does anybody picking up some stuff on me? They can send me a boost, or, because I feel like I'm not on my game. And within minutes or however quick it is, the girls send out a little something, something, and boom, I'm back on. Now I can start seeing what I need. Jen usually just flies me out some questions. Well, have you asked yourself this? It's like, oh,
because I'm nosy and you guys know this.
Tell me, don't just make me ask questions.
Yes.
So, I know Jen's good. It's good. If I want questions asked, I'll call Jen. So.
Yeah, well, I'm a firm believer that we all have the answers, and as we learn to access them, then we are limitless. So
you're very true. It's very good. Because the same as I'm giving these herbal telling people how to make these herbal medicines, but a lot of people say, "Well, Maureen, could you just make it for me?" And I'm like, I could, but you need to know how to make your own medicine. I watched Rosemary Gladstar last week do a little reel that they posted up on social media. And Rosemary Gladstar is just one of the classist, classic ladies of herbalism from all the years gone by. And she just says, I have a dream. And the dream is that every kitchen is full of kitchen medicine for their whole family and household. And I'm living that dream right now myself, but people want me to make it. And I don't mind making it for all my family and friends. You got it. Let's do it. And in fact, I'm a label maker. I'm going to make some fun stuff. It's going to look cute.
I show up, guys. I show up and I'm like,
you do trades.
I'm like, okay, I'm here. What do we got? Speaking of medicines and speaking of making your tinctures, that kind of leads us into tonight. Tonight, we want to talk about tinctures and where we kind of see this going, guys. I want you guys just to jump in and give us your feedback on this. But we are going to be doing shows where we can come up with where we're going to describe and talk about tinctures. But something special is going to happen in the new year. We're actually going to set up workshops where we're going to make those tinctures. So we're going to talk about one tonight. And this one, I have actually not made this one. I have showed up at Mo's house and been like, hello, I'm here. So when we do this workshop, I'm pretty excited because there's a couple that I have in my mind that I would like to make and continue making and share. But tonight we're going to talk about fire cider. Okay. And so tell us, Mo.
Well, fire cider is the first one I started with, and I always recommend. I love that one as a good starter. Rosemary Gladstar was actually the one who all the herbalists have agreed this was Rosemary who started this ball rolling. So when you make an herbal medicine, and the best way to pull it out is with an alcohol. Second best way is with a vinegar, and then it goes down the line. For like honey, you can pull out the medicinal properties, and a glycerin, like it's just a sugar water thing. Not a fan of that, but it helps for people who don't like the tartness of vinegar and who don't want to have alcohol, because sometimes alcohol just doesn't sing to some people, and that's okay.
Or you get
So,
drunk off of it when you take it for medicinal
it
purposes.
depends how much you're taking. Like if you
Oh,
take
it
cough
depends.
medicine from the pharmaceutical company one you can buy at the pharmacist, that's got alcohol in it.
I probably
Okay.
still get that. You know what? I
And you
am
can
that
get the
guy.
edge of, yes. So, which can be fine if that's what you need to bring, because alcohol works as a medicine. It's a sanitizer as well as a relaxant, but you got to be careful because it works into a depressant if you're dealing with somebody who's depressed. So there are some cautionary things you want to think of. But when I do medicine, some alcohol with alcohol base, you're not taking that much of it. You don't need to take that much. Fire cider is one that's made with the apple cider vinegar, always using raw apple cider vinegar. So set all these out. So
I love apple cider vinegar. I actually use this mixed
yeah.
with water, and that is like my facial cleanser. When the people ask me what I do, that's what I use, and I find it makes such a difference.
Great for hair rinse as well. Apple cider vinegar. You just Google some stuff on that. We have a mom who, without that, she can't have any alcohol. Okay, so that's great. You can do that with vinegars, or I could say with a glycerin. You can buy glycerin. It in any basic stores will carry some glycerin somewhere. It's probably even just maybe at the pharmacist will carry that. And they also have it, like if you have a local store that carries all those kinds of things, you can just kind of ask around. You can find it. So it's good because there are some people who just cannot do any alcohol. Like my husband, in fact, not that he can't do alcohol, but he finds that it doesn't always agree with him. It's the stomach or something. It just feels like, oh, why do you always have to give it to me in an alcohol form? I'm going, I don't know, it works for me. But so I'm trying to make some things for him that, and it's moving me into a little more of appreciation for some people, because if you're not resonating with it, then the medicine is kind of beginning no. It's
Let's talk
right?
about that. Let's talk about the resonating with what you're taking. So when we get into this, first, our disclaimer is, guys, we're podcasters and we're just sharing the things that we've utilized, but you always have to make sure that you touch base with your medical professional and make sure there's no crossover or anything along those lines.
Totally. And do your own homework, your own research.
Yeah, and you have to.
Out there.
And the resonating part is a big thing, because I know that things that may work for Mo don't necessarily work with me because it doesn't work with my body type, my body structure. So this is a big thing. And muscle testing is a really great way to start that intuitive openness and that conversation with your body and your mind and your energetic body, your light body, if this is going to work with you. Like, I muscle test everything I take. And so that way it gives me an idea that, yes, my internal landscape is going to be able to work with this, and this is going to work with me. So when you guys are doing this, it's super important to do your homework, to make sure you've got everything lined up so there's no crossover or misconnections or misfires, and that you're resonating with it. How do you resonate? How do you find when you're working with something, you're about to take something, what do you do to see if it resonates with you?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Most of the time I've done it enough that if I have enough, I'm sitting there, I just run my hand over that. I know which one to take. I feel the connection with what I need. I sometimes don't even read the label because I already know this one's going to resonate for me. I'm not asking everybody to do that because I've been doing this a long time. So I know and same thing if I have a client who's come in, I can kind of run my hands across. I know there's like 5 different things that would work for them. So I'm just going to, run along my hand to the top of it. Someone's coming in here with holistic healing products in my life is just too expensive. Okay. Buying them is expensive. Making them cheap. Okay. Cheap to make them. Seriously. The difference, I remember I bought some, I'll just quickly digress to one of the roots I bought. I can't find this one plant to forage out in the wild. It's called lomatium root or biscuit root. And it's more like in the Kamloops kind of a desert area. The class I took down the States, he found in Spokane, couldn't find it. So I had to order it online. Order it from one of these Richter herbs, I think it's called, from Toronto. There are some local stuff you can find. I don't get too much from Toronto, but they have quite a selection. So anyway, I order it and I got this little tiny package and it was like, I don't know, $50. And I thought, this is outrageous, but I needed it. I wanted it. It was supposed to be very good for cold flu things, and the flu that had been going around the past couple of years that's the number one. They said you should get this because it'll be a great one, which it was. It's super. So anyway, I make it a tincture, and did I pull it right here? I just want you to show you. So I made it, and I made like 2 of these jars of what you can see the roots still in them, and I've already pulled off quite a bit, and I don't only need a tiny little bit. So if you were to buy that, this would be in here in the little tincture jars in a jar. Say this size would probably, I didn't double check some of the pricing, but this size is probably going to cost somebody like, I don't know, $40 or something with the tincture, that because it's a higher price root. But this cost me $50. I can get like probably, I don't know, when I put you in the other jar and this jar, maybe 20 of these. So this was cheap. I didn't need to buy as much as I did. I could have bought less. So didn't know that. But it's really good stuff. So anyway, it is definitely a lot cheaper to make your own. And tinctures are probably the simplest thing to make, because all you do is you just take your jar, drop the herbs in the bottom, top it up with a 40% alcohol. I know that there are different percentages of alcohol that people talk about. I always say, if in doubt, just use the 40%. So the 40% is just your basic bottle of vodka. At this point in my game, that's where the money can be a little bit more, because you're using vodka. The alcohol is not cheap. But my husband bought me a still 2 years ago, so I make my own vodka. And it's organic. And so, yay. But anyway, I digress. That's part of another class. Okay, so but you can make with the vinegars or with the glycerin. And then the vinegar and glycerin are not expensive. So you can put them in that, and once you put the lid on that, shake it every day, put in a spot on your counter. You can shake it every day for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, as long as you remember. I do. Oh, I should shake that. I walk by. You're making it for yourself. You're not a manufacturer. And you can't hurt yourself with some of these basic things you're doing. Anyway, and then what I'll do is I'll put it on one of these shelves behind me. This room stays a little darker. And I have the window behind me all blocked off so that there's not much light in it. It's not quite the ideal place I'd like it to be. But anyway, but they're all in brown bottles, so they stay pretty good.
Why is that important? Why is it important to have a room with low light, natural light, and the brown bottles?
A little lower temperature, because heat, sunlight, excess air will deplete the power. In the tincture, it'll just it just slowly.
So storage is super important when it comes to what you're making.
Yeah. I mean, it's important, but again, it just dies off sooner. That's all. So it's still going to make you a good medicine but maybe if you're going to use it all up, who cares? But if you're going to store it for longer, because I make a lot of things, because I'm like kind of, woo, let's make this one too. This will be fun. So I can never make enough. And so I want to circle back to the other part of the conversation. So we all had this bit of I hadn't had anything since January or December last year. So I went a whole year without anything. And if I get a little tickle, I'll take one of my stuff, and then it's gone. But this cough that came around was about maybe just over a week ago. All 3 of us in the house came down with it at the same time, same stuff. So what I did is I set up a little tray, and I said, here's all the things. So when you ask the questions about what's resonating with you or for the other guy, I find we cycle through certain ones. I will start with one, and then next season I will use a different one, because that's what my body is asking. So either you learned a muscle test, which Jen can go through this in a few minutes on muscle testing, or else you can, or if you can sense it or feel that feels for you, or you know what, you take a spoonful or whatever it is of, or your a tincture full amount, and you go, oh, well, never mind the initial, because most of them don't taste very good. But let's say after half an hour or so, you're thinking, oh, I don't know if that one's for me. Then, and you didn't hurt yourself. You're okay. You'll be fine. It's not. There's sometimes a lot of fear factors behind things. Yes, there are certain things, some basics you should know, but the small amount you take is not, but again, do your homework, know what you're reading, know what you're combining. If you're on medications, you need to be aware of that. I'm very careful. I'm actually lucky enough that I have a
Mo pulled out all our books tonight, guys.
I
So
hope I want
you are getting like the Mo treatment here,
that. Yeah.
the books and the
So,
information that she has.
there we go. So botanical medicine, this is the university uses this where Allison goes for naturopathic medicine. So this was a gift from me, from her. So it's just like, oh my God. It gives all the stuff from the dosages, contraindications. It gets fantastic. So I am so blessed to have this. But a lot of the other guys, all the other ones, they do talk about them, and it maybe not quite to the detail like a doctor would read it, but again, well, let's go back to the muscle testing. That's a shortcut. You just like, this isn't for me. I'm not going to take it. Just don't listen to yourself. This one is called Prepper's Natural Medicine, life-saving herbs, essential oils, and natural remedies for when there is no doctor. I like how they said that. That's kind of handy. So this is a great book. And we got a lot of stuff. In fact, even Allison, when she was doing some of her herbal projects at university, we accessed this gal, Kat Ellis.
What I'll do, Mo, is I'll get you to send me pictures, and then I can post the pictures of the books that you utilize on the Telegram group for the journey.
Yeah.
And that way, you guys, if you're following the Telegram group, you guys can find those pictures so that you can discover those books, check them out.
I've used lots in this book. I've done lots of stuff.
Even when you're finding books, guys, it's again that finding what resonates with you. So I am a muscle.
Let's why don't you tell her about muscle testing? Because it's a very simple, quick, and easy thing to understand. You can show her and take you less than a minute to show you how to do your own muscle testing.
Muscle testing is one of the things that I probably overutilize. And those of you who have been here with me on the show for a long time, yes, thank goodness for Telegram, right, Stone? I'm getting better. I am putting up more information on the group. So if you guys haven't followed us on Telegram, it is The Journey with Jen Snow and The Journey there with everybody. And again, the name's going to be changing to encompass this whole flow of everybody who's joining us. But that's where we're going to be putting a lot of this information to. That's where you guys will get links to signing up for classes and workshops and things like that. If that is something that you're like, yes, that's what I want to do. But when I muscle test my groceries. I go through the vegetable aisle and I'll muscle test the vegetables that I know. And it's subtle, so nobody but the person shopping with me knows that I'm doing this. And now you guys all know it. And what, I'm going to have to make a TikTok in the grocery store.
You know what's funny about that with the vegetables? That the fact that you do that, by the way, that she does this means that when she buys the vegetables, she's going to eat the vegetables. You know how many times you buy the vegetables and they sit in the drawer?
Don't eat the vegetables. Well, you know what? I wish that was always true. It's not. Sometimes they get the best of me, especially when traveling back and forth. But I will sit there and muscle test the food. Like have I drank enough water today? If I get a no, then I go ahead and I ask how much more do I need? And I do it by cups, guys. Or when I'm doing my healing journey and working on my healing stuff, if I am guiding myself, I will muscle test to get that final physical confirmation that yes, I'm on the right track, or maybe I'm trying to talk myself out of it and misguide myself, because that can happen when you're getting into stuff. But the easiest way to put this, and the most simplest, and there's a lot of science around this, is that your subconscious mind is going to answer through a physical movement. Some people like to do the hand where they ask their body to show them yes, and they get strength. Yes is strength, weakness is no, right? So we move towards positive, we move away from negative is the simplest way that I can put this. So show me a no, and your hands get a little bit weaker, so they break the circle. I don't use that one. That one doesn't work for me because I feel like I can outsmart it and I can cheat a little bit. So I stand up and I ask my body to show me yes. Now, when I go yes, I go forward. And when I go no, I go backwards. Now, I have asked my body to tone it down when I'm in the grocery store. So not everybody's like, there's a woman there rocking in front of the peppers.
I didn't know you did that one. The one that I do, when I say, show me a yes, and it brings me in a circle like this. And they show me no, and it brings me off on a diagonal off to the left at the back.
Well, that's the thing is you got to know what your yes is, and you got to know what your no is. So if it's subtle or abundant,
Yeah.
You are hearing your inner mind, your subconscious, your light body, your energetic body communicate with you. Now, this, I'm going to give a warning label to this because I feel like it needs a warning label, is that this will open up your intuitive self-guidance. This will open up those intuitive gifts. This will help. And this is meant to be complementary. It's meant to work with where you want to go and what you want to do. If I get a yes and I still feel a hesitation, I will sit back and come back to that. I won't force a question, an answer. I won't force an action, but I'll come back and I'll actually sit with it for a minute and go, what is making me, is that a conscious no?
Phrase the question sometimes.
Yeah. And you know, how you set and how you phrase it can be a big thing. So, but sometimes there's conflict there for me. And so I got to go and figure out what that conflict is before I get my pure, conducive answer. So that is my muscle testing method. And it's a really, easy way to start to open up that internal monologue with yourself and get a physical, tangible response. Now, would I use this in a life or death situation? I don't think I would have time for that. So you got to make sure that you do this in a safe space where you feel safe to open and receive. And again, remember, free will is always
and remember, we're not trying to replace basic knowledge. So doing some work, it's the same. I've always said, I think that the medical industry of all levels, areas, practitioners of all kinds, top to bottom, I don't care where you're working, you should all have energy work, because you have all this knowledge, but you can say the answer could be 5 different things. What I mentioned earlier, it could be 5 different herbs I could use on there. But but if you have a gut instinct and your intuitive level is really open, then you shortcut yourself. The same thing if a doctor,
you become your pendulum, your own pendulum. You are a pendulum, and that's what we're using, because that's what the a pendulum. I don't have anything here with me right now, but you hold and you see your pendulum moving. It's giving you yes and no answers.
It is. And I mean, honestly, when I would say we have a dream, everybody has a kitchen medicine. I also have a dream that all our doctors will be energy workers, as well as being all this amazing schooling that they do. So that's one of my dreams as well. Another one on there.
You know what? It does not hurt to dream.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the fire cider. So all I did with the fire cider is, I've got it over here.
Can we talk about what fire cider is for?
Fire cider, colds and flus, basically.
Yes.
And it's an all-arounder. And if you don't want to use it for that, use it for salad dressing, because it's apple cider vinegar, people. So, and now, did you already pre-send out any of the recipe, or no?
I haven't pre-sent out the recipe. I thought we'd talk about it and go through it. But I wanted to start with why we chose this one. Why
because it's a great starter one, and because it's a classic, and because it can do no harm, pretty much, in that sense. Not that, because there's most of them don't do harm. Here we are. Another question I want to answer about the do harm, do not. So because I didn't mention this before, what is the difference between a pharmaceutical type of medication as opposed to an herbal medication? Is generally the herbal medication uses the whole plant. So the pharmaceutical, what they'll do is they'll take a portion of that plant and isolate it and say, that's the part that does the work. So they take that one and then they give that to you, which is often sometimes why it works so quick, and you love the pharmaceutical stuff sometimes because it works quick. But the dilemma is that it comes with side effects. As you've seen, any drug you can look up or ask, or the long list of paper that comes in with your pharmaceutical in the bag and all the goodies they want you to take, is that it has all the side effects. Whereas what the understanding is on the herbal medicine side is, because you have the whole plant, it negates the side effects. So you don't end up getting them. It's very rare to have a side effect for them. There are some, I'm sure, and we don't need to go down that road, but I just wanted to make sure I preface that with what is the difference between it. So, okay, so back to fire cider. So this recipe, a lot of people have changed up and tweaked, because you can, okay? If you don't have everything, that's okay. Just use what you've got, because you're still going to make something great with it. So I'm going to list the things that I like to use the most of. And if I don't have one of them, I don't. And what I do is I make a note on my recipe sheet to say, this year when I made this batch, I didn't have whatever it is I didn't have.
Oh,
So
that's really smart. 'Cause then you can kind of see how it works with and
yeah,
without.
because I'll have
Love that.
some of these things for like a whole year, you know, because they last a long time. Okay, so the first one on the list is horseradish. So
Mhm.
horseradish, you can buy it fresh at your local fresh store in the fall like this, or you can grow because it grows really well and it kind of starts popping up in different areas. It has a little bit more contained area you want it for, and you harvest the root. Anything that's root is always harvested in the fall because that's when all the medicine starts to really accentuate as the leaves die off. So horseradish, garlic. I want to talk
Mhm.
about garlic. Anytime you use garlic, I don't care if you're using it for your cooking or if you're using it for medicines or whatever you're doing with it, you need to crush it. So what happens is that there are two main molecules in garlic. And when you crush them, it performs a third molecule called allicin, ALLICIN. That's the medicine you want. When you crush it, I leave it sit on my wood board. I take the side of my knife, I smash it down, let it sit there, and it takes about 10 minutes.
Mhm.
And the allicin is usually formed. And then it'll be at its strongest for an hour or two or so, and then it starts to dissipate. Unless, of course, you put it into either a tincture or a vinegar or something like that, or a honey. And that's
The
right. And
honey.
I actually
Mhm.
have a honey one to show you.
So you guys, this is why I go to Mo's house and I show up. I'm like, hello, because she's got everything.
I got it all. Oh, this is the other
You
one with
should
the
see her
honey.
kitchen. When we start making these tinctures, you'll get to
Yeah,
maybe see her
so much fun.
kitchen.
So much fun. So that's the thing with the Allison, or sorry, with garlic. So super important. And I'll tell you, I know when I go to someone's house and they've used fresh garlic and they didn't crush it. I can tell they either did some fancy chef thing where we run it through the microplane. Stop it, just crush it, okay? But I can tell because I get burpy afterwards. After I have my dinner, I'm burpy. Where I don't get burpy when I crush it. Okay, so that's the most important thing I'm going to teach you about garlic, and we don't have to go over and over it all the time because that's the rule for all of the time you use it. And then we got some fresh turmeric. It's a root-looking one. You'll see it near the ginger at your
It,
store.
it will dye your fingers, so
It
you
does,
may
but
want
it's
to put gloves on if
yeah,
that's something that
yeah.
where you work and you
Remove
can't
quick, be
have
careful, right?
orange fingers. I learned that the hard way when I was
Right,
grading it, and then I was like, oh,
right.
you know what? It took a couple days for that tincture or
It takes a little
orange.
bit.
Yeah,
I'll do
it
work
got
on it.
me.
Somebody who's an herbalist to go, oh, making fire cider, were you?
Yeah, like actually no, I was making my ginger turmeric little medicine where I
Mhm.
boiled down
Oh,
ginger and
yes, that's
turmeric
right.
and water. But we'll talk about that tincture.
Okay,
I use
we'll go to that. Okay, so next
another
thing,
day. But
ginger on there and then fresh ginger as well, onion, peppercorns,
now,
cayenne.
guys, I'm allergic to onions, so I actually skip that
So
part.
skip the onions out. Don't
Yeah.
worry
So if
about it.
you have an allergy to something,
Mhm.
then
Just remove it. You're in
yeah.
control, right? So nice to make your own stuff. And then a couple of cayenne peppers are really good for the health as well. It doesn't make it as hot as you think at all, but you can just go a little bit if you're concerned. If it is a concern for you, then and again, you can even skip it too. I use an organic lemon because you're going to use the whole thing, rind and all, so you want to make sure it's not been sprayed. Um, and then apple cider vinegar, and sometimes you can put a little honey in that too if you want. A lot of people love to put honey in. We had honey and vinegar together. It has a fancy word. It's called an oxymel now. So you can be a show off and you know about stuff. And Jen's gonna put that video that
I'm
she's
gonna
gonna
put the recipe
yeah,
on Telegram. I will copy and paste it
yeah.
onto the Telegram group, The Journey with Jen Snow. If you don't have Telegram, send me a message and I can get the recipe to you. I
Yeah.
have it, so I can give it to you.
So I'm going to give you another little extra tip on this. So when I was making this, it's like crush and all these, and all these things you got to grate, which is a lot of grating. Okay. And the horseradish, I got to warn you, it's potent. Okay. Which depends on the medicine you're getting. But horseradish, if you might want to put a little face mask, which everybody's got those in the house now. So you might want to put it on just because in your eyes will water. And if you wear glasses, wear them up real tight and close and put it on, or just do it super fast and get it done. But what I've been doing something different. Instead of having all the chunks, I'm actually throwing it all in the food processor. So then it's
That's smart.
it's a sludge now at the bottom, right? I shouldn't say sludge. It's a beautiful little puree of yummy things that you
And
can make a salad dressing with if you want, Or now one of the my nephew, he loves this. He ended up having a lot of had a industrial accident, and he was in the hospital for a long time. So he found with antibiotics and all kinds of stuff going on, infection things that he got from the hospital. So his stomach went for a turn. Well, I make him. He
The
had
gut health is
years ago.
important.
This was great for gut health. So he will crush this bottle and every single bit in it. So that's one of the reasons why too I've been actually kind of period in.
So Mo, I have a question, and this is totally off topic from the firesider, but can you put that into capsules and take that to help with the gut health?
You could.
Or do you just like?
I've done dry in the capsules. I haven't done the wet in it yet, though. But maybe I guess that maybe the stuff that's left you could put, but then it'd have to be dried. Then you put powder it, and then you would put it in, because otherwise it's going to make the capsule wet, right? Like, so I can't understand. So I take some hot.
So how do you take that just straight out? Like you just
tablespoon. Yeah.
Okay.
So a tablespoon. So it's yeah. Oh, and it smells so good. Actually, it does smell really yummy. But yeah, I'll do a tablespoon of that. If you're, and this, it'll be the same as the one I talked to the last one about the herbal antibiotics, which I have that recipe that I gave to Jen. She's going to post it up for you guys too. And, or no, it wasn't a recipe. I gave you the link.
We're going to watch that video in our next show, guys. So we will be touching on that one.
Yes.
So we have a video for the next show
Yep.
that will be touching on the herbal.
And that's a great one too. So, and again, so I'll put all these goodies out on a tray. And if the family is going through something in the house, and I'll say, you know, which one do you want? Instead of me always constantly guessing what they think they need. So what do you feel like? I said, and I'll ask, what are your symptoms? Are they more this? There's more cough. It's more fever. It's more whatever. And then we'll just go through. I said, well, this one's a little more for that. That's a little more for this. So pick what you want. And now, you're not going to
I have a question, Mo, because I know you grow a lot of things. I've seen your garden. Your garden is beautiful and magical. Where can people find the root there? Like, where could they find that?
I'm so fortunate though or the horseradish root, you mean?
Yeah, like where is there somewhere they could go? Like somewhere we could
a Whole Foods place would have it. We have a Nature's Fair. I don't know where a lot of your people are living, where they are, but you would go to a
Nature's Fair, Whole Foods. Okay, perfect.
They'll have that.
You guys, that's where you can get these ingredients, places where you can go that hopefully you will be able to, I mean, I know inflation is happening, so we're all like feeling it, but be able to buy this and make this yourselves at a less costly expense.
Yeah. Like here's a piece of one of the roots that I've got. My roots were weak this year. There weren't very many big ones. I must have over harvest last year. So I gave the garden a rest. So this was actually a lot longer. So it's like a carrot kind of long kind of look to it, like a parsnip, you could say. So I've cut right down from there, but I'm going to try to use the rest up and make a little something else with it, or just do plain horseradish for enjoying. Yeah, it's so I put a little splay. Rosemary is nice. I didn't mention rosemary, but I put a little thing of rosemary here just because I've sometimes with some years I add rosemary to it. It's lovely, so great.
I think this recipe has the rosemary in it. So we've got the
not in the cider. I don't have it on the cider one.
Oh, I have it in the recipe you gave me.
Oh, that one. Oh, you know why? Because I make so many variations. And honestly, you can.
So you guys are getting this recipe, and it's got the ginger in it, the grated ginger. Oh, I love grated ginger. I put grated ginger in. You know those little devices that you get for loose leaf tea. I will grate ginger, and I will put that into hot water and let it soak. And add. I mean, you can add a little honey. In the beginning, I had to add honey because I couldn't quite swallow the intensity of ginger, but as you get used to it, it gets much easier. And
those are great.
That is one of my favorite morning jump start with lemon drinks that I eat.
If you have a juicer, throw the ginger, the lemon, throw it through the juicer. And you can take with, like I say, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, tablespoon of honey. That's a shot, man. It is. And if you got somebody in the house, you're not quite. Well, let's give them one of those. My daughter's always. The kids are out. And she was buying some before because she's a busy mom. Like moms are busy, but they're expensive to buy. You can make them so cheap. Now, I know at Costco. Look at your Costco because often they have organic ginger, a big bag for cheap. So if you're not sure, you can't get someone, somebody, you don't have a membership, get someone to check for you. And I can't stress this enough. You must super, super try to be organic with what you're buying. Please, please, please. Because when you are making these and building these recipes up, when you put when you put the alcohol or the vinegar, whatever it is you're using to pull the constituents out, you are also going to be pulling out those, the pesticides and herbicides and those guys. You don't want that. This is not what you want. So try your darndest. Or if you know somebody who's has a garden, hey, can I do a trade? Can I get you some of that? If you give me some of this, try to get hold of ingredients as best as you can. Start sourcing, start asking, and start building this. It takes a little bit of time. And my garden and my herbal stuff didn't just show up big and large. It was something that I built over time. And Firesider was one of the ones I started with. So, rosemary, I got, which would be in my very first book I ever bought, was this one, Medicinal Herbs with Rosemary Gladstar, A Beginner's Guide.
That's awesome.
Lovely. So go on with her.
Now that we've got all our ingredients, we've got everything set up and ready. What is our next step?
So we're going to put it in the jar. So you can see in this jar, I've been about a third. It looks a bit half because I've shook this up, but I usually run this about a third. If it's fresher kind of ingredients, sometimes you go a little higher, but if it's especially if it's like a leafy material, I'm talking generalities about tinctures, okay? And then otherwise you can go a little bit lower for more dried herbs because you don't need as much of it because they're more concentrated. And it's called the Simpler's method when you measure and put things in. If you're not manufacturing something, then you don't need to get all wrapped up about stuff. It's simple, okay? And that's it. And then I top the jar up, and you see I have a piece of paper on it because the vinegar is very hard on the metal, okay? So it reacts. So you could use the plastic lid if you want, but plastic, pulling stuff out, we already know, okay? If you don't know, do some reading. So I have some parchment paper that, and if the paper gets a little bit, then I'll put a fresh one in. Yeah, great tip. If you freeze your ginger, from a Diane, she's given a tip on it will grind up better. That's great. It's a good.
I freeze all of my ginger actually because it grades easier. And I don't know about you guys, but because I'm the only one in my household that uses it, and I tried to. When I go, I'm like, okay, where's the big chunk, right? Like I want to make sure I always have enough. I always put some of it into the freezer so that I don't waste it, because back in the day, I wasted a lot of stuff because I didn't know how to store it, or those food savers, and putting things in food savers so that it will last longer. I am starting to learn that process and starting to really realize how much we can save ourselves by learning how to store things properly. And I mean, the consuming world doesn't want you to know this because they don't want you to know how to store things properly, because once it goes bad, you have to buy it again. So this is the other thing.
We're like 2 generations away from people remembering how to do a lot of this stuff. I was very fortunate that my mom and dad did a lot growing up on a farm, that I learned a lot of stuff, not about the herbal medicine because wasn't going on, but I don't have anything around, so I buy from Mountain Rose Herb. Excellent source. Mountain Rose Herb is an excellent source. If you're in Canada, like say Richter's Herbs, there's a good one online. I'm super lucky that in my tiny little town has this little natural food store, and he's got shelves and shelves. It's just a little old rickety little natural food store, and it's not like a Whole Foods or anything like that. And yet he's got everything, and he knows everything, this guy. And I would try to, when I first got in herbs, I would go further away. I thought, well, because my little town can't have everything, I should go to a bigger city to find the best things. No, wrong. This guy's got everything. People drive everywhere to come to this guy. So you're right. And if you don't have anybody close, Mountain Rose Herbs, wonderful source. And they have lots of things to learn in there too from them.
When I freeze it, I don't take the peel off. I freeze the whole thing. And when I grate it after, I use everything, because I believe everything is for a reason, and I've never gotten an inkling on myself when I've asked to peel it. So I use the whole ginger, and I put it into my tea and with my lemon. And if I don't have lemon, I just drink the ginger. So it just depends, or I add turmeric to it too. That's another one. That makes them really fun.
A little note on the root crops is that there has been some discussion. I didn't back check this, but there has been discussion about them spraying it to inhibit any growth. So I don't know what it is they spray it with. I don't know if they only do it on the non-organics. I don't know if they do it on the organics. I haven't back checked it, but if you're concerned and you're sensitive, then you could always give it a quick rinse off to remove that little non-gross
Vinegar
spray.
helps.
Yeah, a little
I
vinegar
use
does.
that.
Brilliant. Yeah, do that. And then let it dry before you freeze it.
Yes.
Let it dry first, for sure.
Yeah,
And
I
then
wash all my vegetables in
yeah,
vinegar. So
yeah. And I don't peel my end of those things either. I
no,
just wash them up. It's it.
I rush, rinse, and then I let them sit and dry, and then it's what I have found that it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I definitely notice a difference when I haven't done it. If I've gotten lazy, I'm like,
So what I'm going to tell you is a couple of things that we're going to talk about in sections. I'm thinking over the time coming up that we'll work these things out. Jenna, I've come up with a plan, but I want to talk about, besides more cold and flu things, so that's really popular. I do a great little throat spray. Also first aid stuff, a wonderful salves. Those are great to talk about. I also want to do sedatives. People who are dealing with a lot of stress. I want to discuss sedatives and how they work and why are they safe? Are they not? What are good ones to choose from? People, because they help you if you need some sleep, but we have a whole sleep thing that you can do. I have a recipe that I got from Rosemary Gladstar in that book called Deep Sleep. And I use it. It's one of my top ones we use. Same thing with digestive bitters. Another one from Rosalie de la Forêt. I've got her book listed here too. Then that's another category. Digestive bitters is a very European thing too. And it's an important thing to do for your tummy, and it stimulates all the juices in there. So when they often have that as an aperitif before a meal. And I got two, I should say a whole bunch. I got like 3 I'm working on right now. Recipes for bitters are so much fun to do. There's a lot of dandelion root, etc.
well, so you guys, if there's something that you want us to talk about, like a tincture or something, a topic, please send us a comment either here on YouTube or on Telegram so that we can build those shows, because we will build them. And if there's something specific, we can get to those shows faster. Like Mo says, we have this list and we have a plan, and that plan is forming itself. And so if there's a topic or something you want us to touch on when it comes to these kind of things and the tinctures that you can make, please drop us a comment and smash that like button and let it help get us out there. Help us, keep the lights on, per se, as we always say. So, just all of it. I love it. Just all. Well, it's all coming, but if there's one that you want now, let us know. So, but it's all coming, guys. But if there's like a topic, like
we're going to go through in categories. It'll be great.
Yeah.
So my favorite resource is the whole thing.
And Mo is a wealth of knowledge. So if you guys come up with your questions, she's got the answers. She is the person I go to when it comes to tinctures.
Yeah.
Like she is my guru when I go there. She has helped me learn so much. So fire cider.
Enjoy it.
I love this apple cider vinegar side of things. I actually more lean there than the alcohol side of things. So because I like the taste better. So when you're making this, again, you got to make it to what you like. What helps your body absorb the energy, the nutrients, the holistic side of the plant, like what helps you absorb it. And that's so important. I cannot say that enough. It is probably one of the biggest, most important things. And the intention that you create it with. So when I, back in the day, was trying to get into this, when I was really in that place where I was more defiant versus compliant, and defiant in the sense that I was defying, not wanting to be the person that I am today. I didn't put great intentions into the things that I was creating, so they didn't turn out as well. So, and I learned this through my mom because of her green thumb, and I've learned this through Mo because of her green thumb, is the love that you can care, that you communicate into your ingredients will amplify the energy and the nutrients those ingredients give back to you. So think about this as a law of attraction. What you put back comes back to twice as abundant. So when you're making these things, talking to your body, talking to the plants, talking to the roots, talking to the ingredients, and celebrating them in that space of gratitude, that space of celebration, that space of honor, is a really another, in my opinion and in my experience, super important step to take as you go through this, as you start to recreate this fire cider and everything else that Mo shares with us. So,
and this applies to the dinner you're making tonight and the breakfast you make in the morning.
The water we're drinking.
The water you're drinking. everything. Put intention. Love what you're doing. It's so mad. It really does matter. It really does. Yeah, it's important.
So tonight, before we close out on the Firesider, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah.
Any questions about making it, storing it, creating it? The recipe, like I said, will be put onto the Telegram. And if you send me a message because you're not on Telegram, I can send it to you personally. Because, questions. Oh,
I know some came through during the thing, so that's good.
Yeah.
We're going to have lots of fun with this. Yeah, those are some good books for people. Well, I'll close out with the last one. One of my favorites is my newest favorite. Why is it your newest one is your favorite?
Because it's new and it's shiny.
It's shiny.
It's like you get a new crystal. You don't put it down for weeks, months, and you're like, woo!
So this is, I can't get even. There we go. So this is the Boreal Herbal. There's your name. Beverly Gray. For those who are in colder climates, this is a great one. So if this is you're in, this gal is actually from the Yukon, but it still applies for us down here in the lower mainland of BC. She's my favorite. Right now, I love her format. I love how she describes them for foraging and sheep sorrel. What a great one. That grows everywhere. People pull it out in their garden and they throw it away and then they go buy herbs out of a plastic container. So there are so many of that. That's one we can do when we get closer to spring because all those things are growing. And I've actually picked them all and froze them. And I've made ice cubes for them to throw into my smoothies.
That is on my list making this spring, we will put together a little herb box too. Yeah. So we got stuff. All right. Maureen, is there anything you want to say, a message that you want to give everybody before we close out tonight?
Enjoy the full moon and meditate with it. Relax, release all the crap you no longer want, and then refocus into the beauty.
Perfect. Thank you. So guys, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. You guys are amazing. We appreciate you guys sharing your energy, your time, and your thoughts with us. And I just want to thank you so, so, so much. Tonight's full moon is that Gemini moon. So remember, what you let go of, you're making space to recreate and fill that space that you've just made with something that you want to connect with, something that you want to create. And you have the power to do this, whether you have studied all of the healing modalities or you're new at this. The intention is more powerful than you could ever imagine. Your intention and your wish to do so will help you get there. So thank you so much for your time and space. We will be here next week and we will be here for the weeks to come. So like I said, if you guys have something a topic, an area in tinctures that you guys would like us to touch on, send us a comment, drop us a line, and we will make sure to build that show sooner than later so that we can get those questions answered. And I hope that you enjoyed. And let us know how the Firesider goes, guys.
Yes.
If you're making it, we want to hear all about it. So
yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy your Wednesday night. Enjoy your week. And we appreciate you. And we're very blessed and grateful for you. All right, guys. Have a great night.
Wednesday.
Cheers.
Cheers.